Hey, this is Dena. Happy Halloween and welcome to the Den. So about 5 years ago, I did a film den on Halloween. Well, mostly Halloween. I also talked about the sequels. I skipped over Season of the Witch because that might be its own video someday and it's not part of the series' narrative. I also didn't talk about Zombies Halloween 2 because after marathoning 8 Halloween movies, most of which I didn't even like, I was just tired and I probably wouldn't have anything to say about it that hadn't already been said by many people. You should definitely watch that 2-part video if you want to hear all of my thoughts on the previous Halloween movies. But the gist is that, while I love the original, I seriously do watch it every single Halloween. I basically don't really like any of the sequels. My headcanon ends at the first movie. Not that they're all terrible or anything, I like parts of H2O and the actress who played Jamie did a great job. But generally I'm just not a fan of the Halloween sequels. And just don't even get me started on Zombies version. So it was really interesting about 3 years ago when a trailer for a movie just called Halloween came out, and instead of being a complete reboot like Zombies version, it was a direct sequel to the first movie that retcons the rest of the sequels.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
What the hell? It's like they watched my video and decided to make a movie just for me. Seriously though, I was under the impression that most people liked at least the first few sequels to some degree, so I was really surprised to hear about this. I also think it's funny how confusing Halloween's timeline is now. Again, not counting Season of the Witch, there were 4 sequels, and then there was H2O, which retconned the first 3 movies after Halloween 2. I've seen some people try to argue that point, but why would you want to believe that Laurie abandoned her own daughter? That's a bad theory and you should feel bad. Anyway, it also had a terrible sequel. But now we've got another branch that leads all the way back to the first movie. And of course zombies movies that tried to start the whole thing over, and hell, if you do want to count Season of the Witch, that's still its own continuity. I wouldn't mind if someone did a sequel to that, by the way. Not sure how that would work, but it might be interesting. Anyway, I don't have a good segue here, let's just start up the movie. This one starts off with a cold open, which is kinda rare for this franchise, mostly just Halloween 2 and H2O did that. Anyway, we open on these 2 true crime podcasters, Aaron and Dana, visiting the mental institution where Michael Myers has been locked up for the last 40 years.
Michael has been my life's obsession. I've examined every single case file written on him. I was a student of Dr. Loomis before he passed away.
R.I.P. Dr. Loomis.
Dr. Loomis was the only one to see him in the wild, and he concluded he was nothing more than pure evil.
That said, Dr. Sartain is clearly an ex-B of him.
There he is.
Myers is standing there without the mask, but we don't see his face. According to Dr. Sartain, he is able to speak, but hasn't spoken in over 40 years.
I've been following your case for years and still know very little about you. I'd like to know more.
They try to communicate with him, but I'm not sure what they're expecting since, again, he doesn't talk. Aaron is literally towing the line.
I borrowed something from a friend at the Attorney General's office, Michael.
And of course, he's not going to perform for this guy in front of everyone. That would be lame. So there's zero tension here. Here's a neat detail, though. You can see the scar on his neck where Laurie got him with a knitting needle in the first movie.
Say something!
Gotta say, I'm not a fan of how they dehumanize the other mental patients. They even intercut a dog, so you're definitely supposed to compare them to animals. Gross. I actually thought the cold open was pretty good until everyone started screaming, and then it got kind of dumb.
Hey!
Woo, Halloween! I'm back on board now. At least we get the jack-o'-lantern from the first movie back. Almost the same tune as well, mainly they just built on it a little. It looks like they filmed the jack-o'-lantern rotting and then played it backwards, as if it's being resurrected, which is appropriate for this movie. By the way, here's something I had never picked up on when I covered the first one. That cut connecting the nose to the mouth forms the shape of a knife, with the triangle being the blade and the cut coming down from the corner being the handle. It even turns black when it gets really close at the end, leaving only those glowing eyes. And then darkness. Okay. Back to the podcasters, they go to Laurie's house next, where she's got some pretty tight security.
Yes.
Hello. We're looking for Laurie Strode. making a podcast, and
We're investigative journalists.
Sounds like she's not going to let them in until Dana offers her $3,000 for her time. I'm not judging, I mean, a girl's gotta eat.
maybe come in and sit down and talk.
I love that Laurie hasn't changed her hairstyle in 40 years. Honestly, that kind of suits her. In the first movie, she really did look like someone who chooses function over fashion, and she didn't change her identity here like in H2O, so there's no real reason for her to change it. So Dana talks about her podcast and how they've helped solve murder cases, and she thinks there's a lot to learn from Laurie's case.
There's nothing to learn. There are no new insights.
So is he real? The boogeyman? I read you quoted.
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
I love that they bring up the boogeyman. That was such a great line to end the first movie on.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
The boogeyman. No.
Well, you should.
Listen to Laurie, she would know.
Michael Myers is a human being who killed his sister when he was 6 years old. And he came after you. We just want to know why. We want a glimpse inside his mind.
Michael Myers murdered 5 people. And he's a human being we need to understand.
Gee, that almost sounds like a meta-narrative about how the media always wants to humanize murderers more than their victims. Come to think of it, it could also be a meta-narrative on some of the previous sequels and even Zombies' version. I'm with Laurie. Stop trying to humanize Michael Myers, damn it. They mention that Michael is about to be transferred to another hospital.
Tomorrow.
But Laurie already knows down to the time.
Yeah, he'll be locked away until the end of his days.
That's the idea.
Sounds like things haven't been going so great for Laurie. She has 2 failed marriages. God, I hope neither was Ben Tramer. I know Halloween 2 is retconned, but he just made such a bad impression in that one. I don't think I'll ever get over it. Anyway, she doesn't have a great relationship with her daughter and granddaughter. Also, the state took her daughter away when she was 12.
But you already knew that.
Aaron mentions that they tried talking to Michael and showed him the mask, but he didn't respond.
He won't talk to anyone. Never has.
And he has the freaking gall to try to convince Laurie to talk to him. He claims it's to help her get everything off her chest.
Come with us.
But I suspect that he just wants to try to get some reaction out of Michael for the views. And I guess Laurie does too.
Time's up.
She'll take that money though, thank you very much.
I rescheduled my last session so I can make it tonight.
Meanwhile, speaking of Laurie's granddaughter, Allison, her parents are looking forward to meeting her boyfriend.
That whole family, though, had a reputation.
Ray.
Remember the one time Lonnie punched that cop in the face?
Ray.
Who I guess is the son of that kid from the first movie named Lonnie?
Go ahead, Lonnie.
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Huh. Anyway, I kinda love the dad.
They're all nice guys until they get you pregnant, and you clean their guns, and you got children, and you like to get high with them, and then y'all get fat.
That was weirdly specific.
Did you invite grandmother like you said you would?
The mom, Karen, was supposed to invite Laurie. She said that she did, but that Laurie isn't gonna come.
She needs cognitive behavioral therapy, so don't take it personally.
Afterwards, Allison tells her friends that her mom lied.
Because I called her myself.
Does your grandma ever talk about it?
Yeah, it's pretty much all she talks about.
Wasn't it her brother who, like, cold-blooded murdered all those teenagers?
No. That's just a bit that some people made up to make them feel better, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like something someone might come up with at 2 o'clock in the morning in front of a typewriter with a 6-pack of beer. No, John Carpenter, I'm not gonna let that go.
All things considered, there's a lot worse stuff that's happening today, and, like, I mean, what, a couple people getting killed by one guy with a knife is not that big of a deal.
Well, I know who I'm rooting for to die.
I'm just saying, like, by today's standards.
Just shut the fuck up, Dave.
Vicky's cool, though. She just has shitty taste in boyfriends. That would piss me off so much if someone just destroyed my Halloween decorations like that. You don't do that, man! After they get to school, oh my, look at this callback. Allison is sitting in the back right corner of the classroom while her teacher talks about fate, which is even more appropriate in this movie than in the first.
How does Samuel's view of fate differ from that of Costain?
Except Laurie is out there instead of Michael. Are they implying Laurie is a stalker? Later, say what you will about Laurie accepting the money, but she does pay it forward to Allison.
Use it for whatever your heart desires.
I'll save it for college then.
Fuck college.
Wow, Laurie's hair hasn't changed much, but her outlook sure has. Can you imagine this Laurie saying fuck college?
Go somewhere. Go to Mexico.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I can.
She's basically telling Allison to do all the things she never got to do. And speaking of Laurie from the first movie, this kind of reminds me of how I thought she seemed a little sad. Like maybe she felt like she was missing out on life a little. And boy, do I really feel like I hit that nail on the head.
Don't worry about your mom. She's a freak. But she'll get over it.
Why can't you?
And now Allison confronts Laurie about how she's let what happened 40 years ago stop her from living her life and having a relationship with her family.
If the way I raised your mother means that she hates me, but that she's prepared for the horrors of this world, then I can live with that.
God, that's so sad.
Say goodbye to Michael and get over it.
Goodbye.
Wow, that was a cut. I thought she shot her granddaughter in the face for a second. So yeah, Laurie has lots of guns and lots of target practice, so she can be ready. Later, the podcasters are listening to an interview someone did with Dr. Loomis.
My suggestion is termination. Death is the only solution for Michael.
It's a very good impression.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
It reminds me of the beginning of H2O, where they also did that.
Blank, pale, emotionless face, and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
But this one is more convincing.
There's nothing to be gained from keeping evil alive.
It's being played over mental patients, including Michael, being herded into a transport. We catch a glimpse of his injured eye from Laurie's wire hanger. Even in this timeline, Loomis believed that Michael is evil and needs to die.
And immediately incinerate the body. It needs to die.
To be fair, that does go back to the first movie, even before Michael started killing again.
He's gone. He's gone from here. The evil is gone.
In his own words, he tried to warn everyone. Meanwhile, Laurie is outside in her car with a gun and alcohol. That's a bad combination. The look on her face when she's clearly thinking about how Michael is in that bus and how much trauma is there just breaks my heart. Meanwhile, Allison and her boyfriend Cameron are having dinner with Allison's parents.
Did you talk to your grandmother? She said she was gonna come. She came to my office. We had a nice talk.
Did you? Really?
Then Laurie shows up.
Hi. I'm the grandmother. Looks good on you. You know, I was in the Honor Society, too.
Why don't you sit down, Mom?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, have a seat.
Good, really?
And it seems fine at first, then,
Hey, Mom.
That's mine.
That actually makes me think of H2O. That movie has Laurie drinking a lot of wine, too.
Thought you quit drinking. This is exactly why we don't reach out.
Mom.
They try to start over, but...
Sorry.
Well, Laurie has just come back from where we last saw her, so she's not in a great place.
I saw it. The shape.
I love that she called him the shape.
We're gonna try to put the past behind you, okay? Are you gonna try to do that? That's what you said you wanted to do.
I can't.
Mom, look at me.
After Laurie leaves, Allison follows her. Karen talks about her pretty intense childhood.
I learned how to shoot a gun when I was 8. I learned how to fight. I had nightmares about the basement. Social services came when I was 12 years old and took me away. I've spent my entire life trying to get over the paranoia and neuroses that she has projected on me.
So it's pretty shitty that she lies to her daughter about her mother sometimes, but it's also kind of understandable why she would feel compelled to do that. Meanwhile, a father and son are driving along. We get to know them a little.
I'm missing dance class for this, and sometimes I'd rather do that than hunting.
The kid wants to go to dance class, but the dad wants to spend time in the woods.
I really love spending time with you, but right now dancing is my thing, you know, and it really hits me in the heart.
And the bus carrying the mental patients has pulled over for some reason, and they're wandering around.
You stay here.
Dad goes out to see what's going on and has the son stay in the car and call the police.
Dad, be careful, please.
Be right back!
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Hold on, I go check.
Son ends up having to get out of the car, but he's got a shotgun at least.
Dad?
Where he eventually finds the body of a police officer. Oof, nice jump scare. Kudos on the lack of a super noisy scare cord, though.
Wait here. I'll go get my dad.
Run!
Meanwhile, Dad is just gone. Son ends up in the bus.
Don't shoot!
He said don't shoot. He ends up back in the car. where he basically suffers the same fate as Annie. Thankfully, it doesn't go on as long, but God, that was rough. I really could have just left out that scene since two characters are introduced just so they can get killed off. But the way they're made to be likable first, and then how everything just goes so wrong, it's just a really effective scene, and I just felt the need to leave it in. Also, killing a child on screen is a big deal. The movie is basically throwing down the gauntlet and letting you know that it's not fucking around. Because if a child can die, no one is safe. Afterwards, Officer Hawkins is called to investigate.
Sheriff's Department.
He becomes important later.
Show your hands!
Anyway, he finds poor Dr. Sartain.
What happened in here? Did he escape?
Oh really? The movie called Halloween takes place on Halloween? So glad you told me. Shut up. I think they're ominous and it's such a staple of the series, it just isn't something you fuck with, okay? So the next day, Aaron and Dana visit the grave of Judith Myers, where they go over every gruesome detail of her murder.
3 more stabs into her sternum, penetrating her heart.
It's kind of gross, really. Obviously, she's not a real person, but she is in the context of this movie, and I just don't feel like these two have very pure motives. Good to see your headstone was put back at least.
Where's the loo?
Excuse me?
Bathroom?
That tickles me a little. Anyway, they stop off at a gas station where Dana goes into one of the restroom stalls.
Excuse me, someone's in here.
This is a little reminiscent of a scene near the beginning of H2O. Meanwhile, Aaron tries to get the attention of the attendant, who is obviously dead. Oh my god, what happened to his face? And then he finds a dead body in the back that's missing its coveralls, so now we know how Michael got them. Back in the restroom stall... Yeah, this isn't gonna go quite how the H2O scene did, where Michael just left for some reason. Aaron comes in and tries to save Dana, but really all he ends up doing is distracting Michael, and it doesn't end well. Damn, Michael really likes to bash heads in this movie. Seriously, this scene is rough and messy. It goes on for a while. Dana gets a similar fate as Bob, minus the knife. Afterwards, Michael goes out to their car and is reunited with an old friend. He is now ready. So yeah, Aaron and Dana were decoy protagonists. I did not see that coming when I first saw this movie. I figured they were going to rejoin with Laurie at some point and maybe try to help her stop Michael or something, but nope. Honestly, I was kind of relieved. I'm not a fan of that type of character that just wants to cash in on whatever the ongoing tragedy is, like Zombie's version of Loomis. And I know we aren't supposed to like that type of character anyway, but just fuck all of that. It's not needed. I mean, these two really had it coming anyway, didn't they? They fucked around and they found out. Later, Laurie hears on the news about the bus crash. And reacts. Turns out she's got a hidden room under the house. Meanwhile, Karen comes home to what she thinks is an empty house.
Gotcha! Jesus. You're dead.
Wow, Laurie.
You have no security system, Karen. Your side window is wide open.
Laurie wants them to get Allison and take her somewhere safe.
You need help, and you are not welcome in this house until you get it.
But Karen just throws her out.
The world is not a dark and evil place. It is full of love and understanding.
Not in this franchise. Back at the gas station, Officer Hawkins is at least one step behind Michael. It turns out that he was the one that arrested Michael 40 years ago.
We have one order of business. That's to hunt this thing down. There's a reason we're supposed to be afraid of this thing.
I'm actually a little surprised they didn't bring back Sheriff Brackett for this role, being the dad of one of Laurie's murdered friends and the guy who helped Loomis and all. Then again, the actor is 82, so probably too old to still be sheriff. From what I've read, he is going to be in a sequel, though. Later, it's Halloween night, and Haddonfield is kind of a backwards town with how they did trick-or-treating in the daytime until after a bunch of people were murdered, and now they do it at night. Anyway, a couple kids run into Michael, who proceeds to just walk right out into this shed where he grabs a hammer. Notice we're mostly seeing him from the back. Like I said in the last video, this is how they mostly shot Michael in the original movie. Then in the sequels, they had him just walking around like a normal person, and it really took away a lot of his mystique. Obviously, I had to edit it down, but from this point on, it's just one long continuous shot of Michael going into the house and killing a mom, grabbing a knife, leveling up his weapon as it were, going down a hallway where we hear a baby crying. Remember, he killed a kid earlier. But no, he leaves this one alone for no particular reason, and goes right out the door, where he decides where to go next. Yes, this shot is still going. This lady seems kind of creeped out by him, but it's Halloween and she's got somewhere to go.
Can I give you directions? Yeah.
Then he goes into what is apparently my mom's house, going by all those jack-o'-lanterns. I love this bit with the reflection where he just kind of looks like a floating face. Michael walks away from the camera. But oh god, he's back. And finally a cut. That was amazing. If you haven't seen this movie, you really need to just for that shot. It really takes its time drawing out the tension and feels very much like something that might have been in the original movie. It clocks in at just under 3 minutes, by the way. Meanwhile, Allison and Cameron are dressed as Bonnie and Clyde, with the gender switched, which is a really cute idea. Allison gets called away by her friend Vicky, who is stuck babysitting, and ignores a call from Lori.
Okay, bye. Love you.
I heard you telling your friends to come over here and you're gonna smoke some weed.
This kid's name is Julian, and I kind of love him.
That's against the rules. I'm telling my mom.
He's so wonderfully deadpan.
You used to be my favorite, but now you're like my 10th favorite boy that I nanny.
And I babysit some fucking loser kids.
If I had some other kind of babysitter, she'd be reading me a story. I wouldn't be up clipping my nasty ass toenails.
I love how they mess with each other.
By the way, you're actually my favorite kid I babysit for.
I like you too.
Oh, she is so gonna die. Back at the Halloween dance, Allison goes back to find Cameron kissing another girl. Might not have been his choice, but it's hard to tell.
That is not what... She came up to me and like whispered in my ear, okay, you don't have to cry about it, it's not that big a deal. Okay, here, you know what? No. Your fucking precious phone?
Wow, I guess he thinks that her having the nerve to go and answer her phone gave him the right to do whatever he wanted. Dump this guy right now. There is a deleted scene where he runs after her with the phone and at least tries to apologize, which might have softened him a little.
Look, I'm really sorry. I've had way too much gin, and I know I could have handled it better. I just don't know what to do.
If he didn't get snarky with some cops where he gets arrested, so yeah, it didn't help much. Though the cops were assholes too, for the record. It would have led into a scene later where Allison and Cameron's friend Oscar walk home together. Meanwhile... I hate that startled me. Again, at least there was no scare cord. So yeah, Vicky's idiot boyfriend is here. But they get distracted when she hears a noise and he goes to investigate.
Oh, fuck me.
Damn, he's not dead yet. But Julian basically says he saw Michael.
Shut up, Dave! I heard him breathing, and then I saw him! He's in here! Boogeyman's in this house!
No, it's fine.
No,
it's fine.
No,
it's okay.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
I would die for this kid, but not literally like she's probably about to.
He was standing right there, in the door.
I'll check it out.
Excuse me, sir? What are you doing in here?
Of course she's messing with him.
Gotcha.
You fucking kidding me?
Meanwhile, idiot boyfriend decides to wander around outside by himself, which we all know is a death sentence in a slasher film.
Can you close the closet door?
But it ends up being Vicky who gets attacked.
Oh god! No!
I mean, it's sad, of course, but nice one, movie.
Julian, I'm gonna get help. You go up there, you're gonna get killed.
Julian is like,
change your plan! Like it!
but yeah, poor Vicky gets killed. Complete with a patented Michael Myers head tilt. Go idiot boyfriend? I didn't see that coming either. Well, I'm about halfway through this movie and shit is about to really hit the fan, so I'm ending part 1 here. If you haven't seen Halloween 2018 before, I really mean it this time. Go watch it before watching part 2.